I first met Caliph under a sky of dying stars. Back then, I was a xenolinguist stationed aboard the Horizon Reach, a peaceful research vessel orbiting a water-rich exoplanet called Virex 4. My job was simple on paper: study alien languages and help foster communication. In reality, it was grueling. Every day was a tangled mess of cultural nuance, body language misunderstandings, and strange guttural consonants that nearly shredded my vocal cords. And then Caliph walked in. She was the liaison of her people, the Zalari regal lithe beings with deep violet skin, luminous teal eyes, and delicate cranial ridges that shimmered like polished coral. But Caliph was different from the others. Curious, outspoken, and unafraid to laugh at my clumsy pronunciations. She took an interest in human culture, especially Earth's relics and romantic customs. We spent months working together, cracking syntactical puzzles and deciphering mutual trade agreements. Over time, our professional relationship twisted into something far more personal. Quiet moments in the ship's arboretum, long conversations about life and legacy, and once, a slow dance to old Earth jazz under simulated moonlight. Before she left for her homeworld, I gave her a necklace. A simple silver chain with a small aquamarine pendant, one I had bought as a gift for my sister before she passed. I told Caliph it was for luck. She had looked at me, touched the gem lightly, and said, "Then I shall wear your Earth's oceans against my heart." She kissed me once. And then she was gone. That was 12 years ago. Moved on. I left the stars behind, returned to Earth, and started teaching at a university in Alaska. Life slowed to a crawl. No interstellar politics, no alien tongues, just coffee-stained papers and eager students with heads full of dreams. I told myself it was enough. That love across light years was impossible. That she'd forgotten me. But I never really forgot her. So when the skies over Anchorage lit up with silver streaks one evening, 3 long slender ships descending through the clouds, my heart stopped. They were Zalari vessels. And I knew. By the time I reached the landing zone, the area had been cordoned off by EarthGov and the Interstellar Welcome Corps. Civilians were kept behind barricades, but through the crowd I saw her. Caliph stood tall among her guards, diplomatic robes flowing in the breeze. Her face was the same, elegant, serene, but her eyes searched the crowd with urgency. I didn't call out. Couldn't. I was frozen in place, my breath caught in my throat. Then her gaze landed on me. For a heartbeat, the world vanished. Just her and me. Her hand slowly moved to her chest, brushing aside her robes. There it was. The aquamarine pendant gleamed against her skin. We were allowed to meet in private later that night, under a dome of transparent alloy at EarthGov's lunar embassy. The reunion was awkward at first, me fumbling with words, her expression unreadable. "You kept it," I said softly, nodding toward the necklace. "I never took it off," she replied, voice barely above a whisper. She stepped forward and placed something in my hands, a faded, worn photograph of the two of us from the Horizon Reach. My hair was longer then, her expression more open. I couldn't remember when she had taken it. "I returned because of you, Nathan," she said. "And because I need your help." The Zalari were in trouble. Not from war or disease, but something stranger, decay. Caliph explained that their people were dying not in body, but in spirit. For millennia, they had evolved past many biological urges, aggression, competition, even romantic love. Their society had become structured, harmonious, sterile. And now, a generation was being born without the will to live. "I studied your people," she said. "Your art, your chaos, your love. I think humanity has something we've lost. And I want to bring it back." She told me her mission wasn't just diplomatic. It was personal. She had founded a fringe sect on her homeworld, one that believed emotional resurgence was possible through cultural fusion. But she needed Earth's support. Human volunteers, interspecies relationships, a spark of soul injected into a fading civilization. I asked her why me. Because you made me feel alive once, she said, eyes shimmering. And because I believe you can do it again. We spent the next 6 months working together, just like old times. Only now everything was different. There was a sense of urgency, a ticking clock behind every lesson, every discussion. I brought in artists, musicians, poets, people whose lives were built on feeling. And the Zalari responded. Slowly. Caliph took me to orbit, to a Zalari enclave built on one of Jupiter's moons. It was strange, beautiful, melancholic. The inhabitants were brilliant, kind, but emotionally muted, like actors reading from a script. She introduced me to her inner circle. Scholars, scientists, and a few idealists. One of them, a young male named Yorin, asked me what it felt like to be broken-hearted. I laughed. Then I cried. And I explained everything. Yorin didn't understand it at first. But a week later he wrote me a poem. It was clumsy, barely legible in human terms, but it made Caliph weep. That was the turning point. A year passed. EarthGov approved a cultural fusion initiative. Dozens of humans volunteered to live among the Zalari, and a few brave Zalari came to Earth to learn what it meant to live freely. The program was controversial. Some called it naive, others hailed it as the future. But for Caliph and me, it was more than politics. We had found each other again. There were challenges. Our biology was different. Our needs didn't always align. But love, true love, didn't care about that. Bloomed anyway. We married under a canopy of twin moons on Virex 4, surrounded by diplomats and dreamers. Caliph wore the necklace still, now paired with a new one of Zalari make, a symbol of union. At the reception, she stood beside me and raised a glass, of synth wine of course, and said, "This human gave me a trinket once. I thought it was a gift of luck. But now I know it was a promise." 10 years later, I stand on Earth again, at the same university, teaching a new generation about love across stars, about languages that transcend words. Caliph is back on Virex 4, leading her people into a new age of emotion, culture, and soul. We see each other every 2 months, taking turns between planets. She jokes that distance keeps our love sharp. And every time I see her, she's still wearing that necklace. The one I gave her long ago.